Man, before I came on here, the lighting was amazing. I know, like where I'm sitting. Hello, if you're watching this at a later time, let me know. If you're watching the replay, pop replay into the comments. Hold on, let me just switch my little seat around. Welcome to the live. Hold on, I gotta find a different chair to sit in. So I'm coming to you guys live from our little retreat house in Sedona, Arizona. Hold on, let me flip this around so you can kind of see. Maybe you can see somewhat of the view that we have. It does not do the justice. See, way over there, some red rocks over there. There's some over there. You can just barely see it though. It looks so pretty with your eyes. Hold on, let me flip it back around. Okay, let's see if I have some better. Okay, it's better if I sit on this side of the table. Okay, hold on. I wanted the trees in the background or whatever. All right, let me sit down. All right, cool. So if you're hopping on, let me know where are you watching me from. Sedona is beautiful. I went to visit my cousins. Yes, it is. It's my favorite place that I've been so far. Just the scenery, but the energy is totally different. If you've been here, you know what I'm talking about. The energy is amazing. There's so many different vortexes. You can just feel it when you drive in. That like, wow, this is a different place. And then when you go into the Red Rocks, you actually go on hikes or you go out into nature. You can just feel the frequency of something different. So we got Jersey, we got Ireland, we got Sydney, Australia. Let me scroll through here. Missouri, Alexandria, VA. Happy Friday from the Bronx. Happy Friday. Appreciate you guys hopping on. So I'll just start talking because, you know, this is going to be recorded too. I'm going to leave this up. So I wanted to pop on because I put a poll in my stories and some people were asking about what about, like, how do you utilize mushrooms for addiction? So I wanted to talk about my own personal experience because that's all I can really do is share with you guys, you know, how it's worked for me. And let me know also, how's the audio? Can you guys hear me clearly? Hopefully there's some like building going on a couple of blocks away, but I think for the most part it's quiet. A little bit of birds chirping and stuff. Just noticed something in my hair. But all I can share is really just, you know, my own personal journey and my experience and how it's helped me in hopes that someone gets inspired. You know, if you're on this live today and you have an addiction, no matter what it is to, whether it's to food, whether it's to sugar, whether it's to social media, whether it's to drugs or alcohol or whatever it might be, you know, I don't expect you to share in the comments what you're struggling with, but I hope that if you hear my story today and just hear what I have to share today about how mushrooms can help us with addiction, I hope it inspires you to, you know, do some research and figure out, you know, is this something that can maybe help me? Because, you know, if we're in a place where we're done with the way that we're living and we want to experience something new, then we have to become a new person. And that starts from the inside out. And mushrooms can help us to become a new person from the inside out. So I want to say hello and welcome to everybody. My name is Kimberly Denise, for those of you who don't know, and I manage this account here, and I just want to thank you for following it. So my mission is to spread awareness and spread education and help people to look at mushrooms differently, because we've been programmed to think that there's something that they're not. We've been programmed to think that they're drugs and they're dangerous and they're poisonous, or that they make you go crazy, or they're whatever, right? Through school and the DARE program and the lies that we've been told, right? But that's not true at all, right? They're the most natural substance that is such an integral part of nature. Mushrooms in general, mushrooms and mycelium and psilocybin mushrooms are extremely medicinal, and they have so many medicinal purposes, and they actually go beyond being physical medicine for us. They're energetic medicine, and they're also consciousness medicine. So they help us on so many different levels, because you and I, if you're watching this live right now, you are not just a human being. You're not just flesh and blood, right? This is your avatar. Like me, Kimberly, this is my body, but this isn't me, right? This is the avatar that I have right now. This is the vessel that I'm in while I'm here on earth. But when this vessel goes, whenever that is, I am going to continue existing. My consciousness, my spirit will continue to exist. We are eternal beings. We're cosmic beings that are having this human experience for a small amount of time, or, you know, may seem longer to others, but so we're not just physical. So mushrooms help us not only on the physical level, but they help us with our spiritual growth as well. And they help us to expand our consciousness. And what does that mean? They help us to see things differently, help us to see our life differently, ourselves differently, others differently. They help us to relate to each other differently. They help us to relate to the world around us differently and our society. And what I personally believe is that the more people that learn about the benefits of mushrooms, the more people that experience the benefits of mushrooms. And if you see me shaking a little bit, it's because it's pretty cold. It's sunny today, but it's actually like, I think it's only like 53 out here today. So I will see how long this lasts outside. I might have to take it inside. It's a little bit cold, but it's so nice. It's pretty and fresh out here, so I wanted to come outside. So they can help us on so many different levels. But today we're talking about addiction, right? So for me personally, I have never struggled. I have never actually used a drug in my entire life. And the reason why is because I was raised by drug addict parents, and they were addicted to drugs. They were addicted to alcohol. They were, extremely irresponsible. And I ended up pretty much raising myself from the age of 7 and beyond. And I had a traumatic childhood, as most of us have, and I endured things and seen stuff that I shouldn't have seen, and experienced things I shouldn't have experienced, all because of the issue of addiction, right? And so this is a topic that's close to my heart because I saw what it did to my family. I've seen what it does to and has done to so many other families. And just no matter what it is that you're addicted to, it could be gambling, it could be a substance, it could be social media, it could be anything. When something outside of you has a control over you or has power over you, that's not a quality of life to have. You can't have quality of life, you can't have freedom, and you can't have sovereignty when something is controlling you. When you feel urged and pulled by something all the time. If your money is going into something that is, especially if it's destroying you, right? And if it's destroying your relationship or it's destroying your career or whatever it is, usually addiction, the worse that it gets, the worse that all aspects of our lives get, right? Because it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So for me, I wasn't addicted to drugs or anything like that, but I had some food addictions, and specifically sugar. So for those of you, let me know who else in the comments below. Maybe you want to let us know, do you have addictions to sugar or addiction to food, or do you know somebody who does? Because this is so common. Most of us are actually addicted to sugar and we don't even realize it. I know I didn't for the longest time, and still until I developed a relationship with mushrooms. They helped me to realize that I was addicted to mushrooms, and not to mushrooms, to sugar, and that mushrooms are actually not addictive. Although they say that they are, but they're not habit forming at all. And so I realized that I was, and so at the lowest point for me with my addiction, what I was struggling with, I have been health conscious for quite a while, probably for the past 15 years or so, trying to do my best. We're all doing our best. I truly believe that we all do the best with the information that we have and the knowledge that we have and the resources that we have. And I was doing my best. And I knew that sugar was destructive to the body, and it was a bad, refined sugar was bad for us. But at the same time, I had this issue, right? I always had to have a Snickers bar. I always had to have cupcakes or cookies or candy or something. I always had to have something just about daily, right? And so I would be on one side like this proponent for health and wellness, but on the other side over here struggling, like I feel like I can't live without this. And I truly felt like if I was to ever give up sugar, because I always tried, I did my best, sometimes I'd be like, all right, I'm going sugar free for X amount of days, or I'm going to cut it, I'm only going to do it once a week, or I'm only going to eat one thing on a cheat day or something like that. And it never worked out for me, right? It was just always like, I thought about my life without sugar, and I thought my life won't be as good though. I won't enjoy life as much if I don't have cakes and Snickers bars. And my thing was really like cookies and ice cream and all this stuff. And I felt like it was just a part of my happiness. It was like, it makes me happy. And when I'm stressed, I ate sugar, that's what I was doing. And so one of the lowest points was I have 3 small children at home right now. They're 3, 5, and 7, but at the time I think they were like 1, 3, and 5. And I would always tell them like, no, we can't eat that kind of stuff because it's not good for you. And I was telling them that they couldn't have it, but at the same time I was struggling with eating that stuff. And I would have my little hiding spot. Let me know if you have a hiding spot in your kitchen where you have your own little snacks that you probably shouldn't be eating, but you do anyways. You hide it from your kids. That was me. So I was going into the kitchen, and I was holding my 1-year-old on my hip, and I was in there, I was eating, I don't even remember, probably some kind of like candy bar or something like that. And I saw her looking at me, and she was looking at the candy bar, and she wanted some. And I told her, no, you can't have that. And then in that moment, I was like, I'm a hypocrite. I'm being a hypocrite. I tell my children they shouldn't be eating this. And here I am over here eating this, hiding, making sure no one hears the wrapper, like sneezing while I'm opening it or something, like trying to make sure they don't hear it. And I'm over here eating the stuff that I know is not good for me. I know that it's not good for me. I was addicted to sugar my whole entire life because it was given to me as a child, and it was just continued to buy the things. When I was in junior high, I was addicted to Coca-Cola and stuff like that, sodas, and then just candy and just different sugar stuffs. And so like I have fillings in all of my molars because as a child, like I had to get fillings in my teeth. And at the time, health-wise, I started to struggle with like teeth pain, and I was having gut health issues, which I found out was stemming from the diet that I was eating was not the best for me, right? I would every once in a while I would break out in this weird rash, and I traced it all back to the sugar that I was eating and some of the other foods that just were not the best for me. And so I was holding my daughter, and I told her she couldn't have any, and then I'm like, I'm a hypocrite. And at that moment, it was as if I saw myself from a different view that I've never seen myself before. And I had this feeling also of like it wasn't like a feeling of guilt, but it was just a feeling of conviction of like, this isn't the person that I want to be. You know, I want to be someone who is an advocate for health and wellness, and I actually want to be what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I want to be someone who puts good things in their body and doesn't put bad things in their body. And then I really just began to contemplate. And this is one of the things that mushrooms helps us do, is it helps us to contemplate and to think and to see things from different angles that we've never considered before. It's almost like, I call it like an observer effect. Like we can see ourselves from like, it's almost like your consciousness is hovering above you and you can see yourself in certain situations. So that's what happened for me. And so I was like, all right, I don't want to be a hypocrite. And really like my thought process back then was like, oh, it's okay to have junk stuff like every once in a while. It's okay, like once a week or whatever. But then I really started to think about it. I'm like, no, because if sugar is really as bad as I think that it is, or that I believe that it is, and I tell people that it is, I know that it destroys our body. You know, it really does. It destroys our body from the inside out. It hinders our immune system, you know, and with everything that was happening, and this was right around, I want to say it was in 2021. So it was post 2020 and everything that was happening in that year. So we're all trying to boost our immune systems and stuff like that. But if you're consuming a lot of sugar or a lot of food that has sugar in it, you're canceling out whatever you're doing to build your immune system, because you're just harming yourself. You're harming our gut microbiome is damaged, and we're feeding the wrong organisms in our body. We're feeding the bad bacteria, we're feeding parasites, we're feeding all this stuff that doesn't belong in our body when we consume sugar. And we consume I'm cold, I might have to go inside. We'll see. When we consume things that turn into sugar in our body, and this doesn't include fruit or anything like that. Fruit sugar is completely different. We're not going to talk about that in today's live. We'll just continue talking about the food addiction or addiction in general. So I decided, I was like, you know what? This doesn't make any sense. Like, even just putting a little bit of poison in my body, I'm not cool with that. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. If I could live without it completely, would I do it? And yes, I said yes, that I would. So as I began to contemplate that more and just really say, like, this is who I want to be, and set the intention for myself, I want to be a sugar-free person. I want to be somebody who just doesn't consume junk. I just want to be somebody who, like, I was like, why can't I just crave healthy food? Why is it that we can't get high off of eating fruits and eating natural foods? And why is our body like this to where we crave fast food and we crave sugar and all this kind of stuff? And I have the answer to that question. I'll answer it in just a few minutes. But so as I contemplated, I found myself thinking differently, and I found myself making new choices slowly but surely. And then I just, one day I was like, I'm just done. And I threw everything away. I went through all the pantry, the fridge, the freezer, everything that we had that had refined sugar in it, or that was a sugary product. I just threw it away. And I said, I'm just not going to buy this anymore, because I can control what I purchase and what I bring into my house. And I can just make the decision not to purchase this anymore, because it's not something that I want to put in my body. And so as I made that decision, I just got the power to no longer purchase it. And so I also started doing more and more research on how can I heal my gut? How can I improve my gut health? Because I was having the rashes, and I was like, I have an issue with these weird rashes that just one time it just inflamed on my neck, and I was in so much pain from it. And I was like, I have no idea why this is happening. But I read a book called Eat Dirt by Dr. Josh Axe, I think is his name. And it was just talking about how, refined sugar and refined foods and all these different, the standard American diet really causes our gut microbiome to, the good, healthy bacteria thrives on the fiber from fruits and vegetables, and the bad bacteria that causes disease and feeds and the parasites that we all do have. Everybody does have some parasites from, just our environment or from food or from meat we've ate or whatever. We're just literally feeding those organisms and those bacteria when we eat the junk that we eat. So I started, one of the questions, if you're taking any notes or anything, one of the questions I started asking myself in this like integration process of like no longer consuming sugar was, in what I'm about to eat right now, the meal I'm about to cook, or the food I'm about to prepare, or this item I'm about to buy from the store, will I be feeding that good bacteria that I want in my body to help me have a strong immune system and to have a healthy body and to have vitality? Or am I going to be feeding parasites? Am I going to be feeding bad bacteria that's causing disease and really contributing to my body aging prematurely and pains and just everything else? So that's such a powerful question to ask, because your logical mind will tell you what you're doing, what you're really doing. Are you feeding the good bacteria or are you feeding the bad bacteria? And I think we're very uneducated, most of us in this area, where we're like, we don't even realize like everyone has different bacterias and different ratios of bacteria. And actually it's been found that the human body is we're like 80 or 90% bacteria and only like 10% human or something crazy like that. You can go Google it and find the information, find the article. But so it really matters what we put in our body. It really, really matters. And if you want to reverse disease and you want to let go of addictions of any kind, addressing gut health first is one of the most powerful things that you can do. Even before you look into mushrooms, if you can start improving your gut health and doing things in favor of your gut health, that's going to help you a lot. I'm going to hop over here to the comments just see if we have any specific comments or questions. Let's see. The little voice in your mind and justifying why you can do it. Can mushrooms silence that voice? Just one more, start tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Is it addiction or some part of selfishness? Okay, that's a great question. So the little voice in your mind, yeah, so, okay. So here's what I've learned, like between utilization of mushrooms and then also learning about like gut health and the microbiome, is that the bacteria in our gut, so we have a brain, we actually have more neurons in our gut area, like in our intestines, than we have in our actual brain. So the gut is called the second brain because it actually truly is. And so what I believe from the research that I've done, the experience that I've had and stuff like that, and a lot of other people agree with this, a lot of experts agree, is that some of the thoughts that we get and the cravings that we get or the things that we think, they come from the bacteria that is in our gut. So for example, if like you're always craving a certain thing, like if you're craving sugar or if you're craving salt or you're craving like bread or carbs and things like that, it's because of the bacteria that's in the gut. It's not even like you that wants to eat that. It's the bacteria sending signals through those neurons. So there's a gut-brain axis where your gut neurons connect and go up and send signals up to your brain. Then your brain tells you, like, oh, I'm hungry, or I want this, or I want that. So I believe that it comes from the bacteria. I believe that they're intelligent. I believe that they, they want to survive too. They have all of the things that we have, like all of our cells or our bacteria or the conglomerate of intelligences that we're made up of as human beings. They want to live too. The parasites in you, they want to live, they have digestive systems and reproductive systems, and they have their own agenda, right? So we are made up of all these things that have their own agenda, and their agenda is usually, if it's the bad bacteria, their agenda is for you to eat more junk or to get more of what you're addicted to so that it can feed them. Right? So I think that's partially where that voice comes from. And then also, we have our ego too. We have, I know for me, just speaking from my experience, one of the things that drove me to eat sugar was usually stress. It was when I was in times of stress and I felt like, oh, I'm stressed out about this or whatever. But eating chocolate, I deserve this because I feel stressed out or whatever. And I just had these like weird ideas in my mind just from, I don't know, peer groups, the past, society, friends, or whatever that I've seen of just like, treat yourself type thing. And I'm like, but you're not treating yourself. Like it's almost as if like mushrooms allow another voice to come in, a voice of higher reasoning and a voice of more logic and a voice of more, it's like the voice of your higher self becomes louder and clearer and easier to follow than the voice that's low and is inspiring you to do the things that are destructive. That's how I would explain it. And so my higher self voice would come in and be like, treat yourself to what? Treat yourself to making yourself less healthy and hurting your immune system and damaging your gut microbiome. And then like all of the facts and all of the truth would come through, and I just had more willpower to say, okay, yeah, that's right, I'm going to follow that one. So that's what it really does. And what I believe is that, you know, it helps us to see ourselves and consider ideas and things from a new viewpoint. And it might sound small, but that's one of the biggest things that we can do, is if we can start to see something differently, no matter what it is that we want to change, if it's we have something we want to change in our relationship, or something we want to change, you know, we want to improve our health, or we want to overcome addiction, no matter what it is, it usually just takes a small tweak in how we're looking at something to completely shift the whole situation. Or even to just become, here's another thing, is becoming open, even just becoming open to new ideas. I believe mushrooms help us with that. They help to, they create new pathways in our brain. So for example, when we're addicted to something, it's because we have pathways in the brain that have been like carved out over and over and over and over again. And it gives us these chemicals that feel great, right? So we're doing a drug, or we're using alcohol, or we're eating the food, or whatever. And we get this reward at the end, or we get this quick reward, the short-term reward from using whatever substance it is, you know, whether it's food or a drug or whatever, or alcohol. And so the reward is that we get dopamine, and we get like these hits of chemicals in our brain that feels good, right? And so we're like, okay, that feels good. And the body doesn't really know what's good or bad for us. It just knows that we feel good. So that must be something that we want to do again and again. So I believe that the mushrooms, they help us to differentiate, you know, what is actually a good thing and a good response and a good reaction to be having, and what is actually like a false good, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of like the logic that I've contemplated on and experienced myself, is that I was just able to clarify, what is truly good and what is not. And I know I would not have been able to truly give it up if it wasn't for also doing research and also reading and also just making the commitment, to that. Do I want to live a life of being an average person who just, by the age of 40 or 50 is on a lot of prescription medications? Do I want to have disabilities? Do I want to deal with disease? Do I want to deal with all these things? I have young children. I had to bring in a lot of reason and a lot of purpose into my decision, that, I'm doing this for a higher reason. I'm doing this for a higher purpose. I want to live a longer life. I want to be healthy for my children. I want to be a good example for them. I was telling them, you can't have this stuff, but yeah, I was eating it at the same time. So I wanted to be that actual example for them, and also for my community, for people that look up to me or want advice from me. I want to be the person that's actually living that advice and not saying it, but kind of still struggling with that issue as well. So it was as if a lot of things clarified for me, like my purpose clarified, my goals clarified for me. And I was able to just clearly see and feel what it was that was truly important for me, and my willpower strengthened. And then also what I believe that they do is they take the connections that we already have for like the negative things, and they kind of like make it easier to loosen that up a little bit so that you can insert something new. Right. So I kind of explain it as an Etch-a-Sketch sometimes. Like, you remember those? I don't know how many of you remember what an Etch-a-Sketch is. Let me know if you do in the comments below. But it's like this little device, and it has sand in it, and you like turn these knobs and you're able to draw a drawing. But to start over, you have to shake it. Right. So I view mushrooms kind of like that. They like help us to like shake our brain a little bit, to like get rid of some of those connections that we have that are not good for us. And then we're able to create a new drawing, or we're able to create a new connection through the new habits that we want to replace. So one of the things that helped me also was, now I don't live a life where I just never eat any dessert, or I never have the things that I enjoy or anything like that. I just did a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, and I found recipes for things that I can still enjoy, but they just don't include refined sugar. That's it. You know, and so many times we just think like, oh, I can never live without like ice cream. But did you know that there's certain ice creams that don't have sugar, or they dairy-free ice cream? Or there's, you know, ways to make chocolate chip cookies without white flour and without sugar that still tastes really great. And here's the thing that I found too, is like when you've given it up long enough, first of all, if you don't think that you're addicted to sugar, the way to find out is to just cut it out and see how difficult it is for you. If it's easy, then you're probably not addicted. But if you can't give it up for like more than 7 days, your body is probably addicted to it, right? And if you are addicted to sugar, then you most likely have bacteria in the gut, an overgrowth of bacteria in the gut that's not health forming, right? So you need to address that. But so for, what was I saying right before that? I totally forgot. But one of the things that I've done that has helped me is finding recipes and finding things that I can still enjoy and that still bring me that happiness. Because I was like, well, you know, I love in the wintertime, I love baking. I've always loved making sugar or making cookies and, you know, baking with the children and stuff like that. And so I just found recipes that replaced, I remembered what I was going to say. So when you're off of it for long enough, you will find that your taste buds truly reset to where you won't even be able to tell. Like right now, if I can eat like a vegan cookie that's made with like coconut sugar, or made with like not coconut sugar, erythritol, or like some of these other healthier sugar substitutes like stevia, or I'm not talking about like Splenda and things like that. I don't consume like the chemical type sugar replacements. I don't recommend those. But I can't really even tell the difference. And it brings me just as much happiness as those cookies or those things did back in the day. Or there's like some healthy candy brands coming out now. Like I even found recently like a healthier peanut butter cup brand, or you can even make your own peanut butter cups. Those were one of my weaknesses back in the day, Reese's cups and stuff. But so I found things that still brought me that little bit of like enjoyment and happiness, because you don't want to, no one wants to live a bland life. No one wants to have no enjoyment in what they're eating. Like that's a part of why we taste things, is because we want to enjoy what we're eating. But what I've also found is that our taste buds will reset and change. And also, remember my question earlier? I said, you know, why is it that we crave this junk food and this crap and this fast food and everything? Why is it that we don't crave what's good for us? And I found the answer to that question. And the answer is because of the microbiome that we have. So if you can reset your gut health and your microbiome, and if you can attend to that and change the ratio, get rid of the bad stuff, get rid of the parasites, get rid of the bacteria that wants all the bad things, and replace it with good, you're going to find that you start to crave the healthy food. It's crazy. Like the green shakes that I drink now, I crave those and I look forward to them and I love how they make me feel. So it gives me that same reward that sugar used to give me, right? What else was I going to say? I was going to say one more thing after that, but so our taste buds can be completely rewired, right? Our cravings can be rewired, and our body is actually created to crave what's good for us. So that's the question. That's the answer to the question. Our body is made to crave good things, but because we've lived for so long, or maybe we were raised on bad foods or fed the wrong things or whatever, it's what is in our gut that causes us to crave. So that's the answer. And I was so like blown away when I discovered that, because I remember thinking that it would be just so great. Can I just crave salads and greens and fruits and all these things? Now, I don't so much crave like a hand of spinach or anything like that, but sometimes I'll crave like a really good salad mix with some walnuts on it and like a healthy dressing and maybe some fruit added in or something like that. And that gives me that same reward of that same enjoyment that bad things used to give me. Or a really ripe mango. Like I love just biting into that and consuming mangoes or fruit that I love, or like avocados and things that, you know, I've always liked them, but I never craved them because I just didn't have the bacteria in my gut to tell me that this is what the body wants. This is what I need. This is what I need for health. This is what we need for sickness, you know, because of the things that I was eating for most of my life. And so some of you, hold on, this little thing in my hair is bothering me. Some of you might ask, you know, well, what can I do to reset my gut health? And how does that really relate to mushrooms? And I believe that it relates because, you know, the studies that this comes into like my own little theories that I have, and maybe science will catch up and come out with some of this stuff, but I believe that they impact our gut health too. I believe that mushrooms, because think about it, okay? If you're using a mushroom, and within your body is made up of a lot of different intelligences who also have their own type of a brain, their own type of a reproductive system and digestive system and everything like that, wouldn't it make sense that the community that you're created out of is also being affected by those mushrooms? So I've asked myself, like, wow, like when I microdose mushrooms, or if I do a mushroom journey, or if I'm utilizing these medicines, it must be doing something to the bacteria and to the organisms that are in my body too. And if I have great intentions for myself, and if I have goals for myself, and I'm clear on the trajectory of where I want to go, which is health and vitality and wellness and anti-aging and all of these things, then it seems like my cells, it seems like the bacteria that's in my body, it seems like everything that's within me would also be positively reprogrammed and rewired as well. So that's one of my theories, is that utilizing microdosing on a longer term basis can help you to kind of reprogram the gut brain, the brain that exists in your gut. Okay. And now I'm not saying any of this is facts or anything like that, because it's, there's no studies on this or anything other than like people like me who have just experienced things like that. Like one of the other things is that I haven't gotten sick since I cut sugar out. So I cut sugar out right around, I want to say, okay, let me backtrack. The last time I was actually sick, our whole family got the thing, the C thing, this was in last year was 2022, 2021. It was late 2020. So it was like November of 2020 when my husband got it. He caught it from somebody at the jiu-jitsu gym, and then he passed it on to me, and then our children didn't really get it. They had like some sniffles and stuff like that. They never came down with it though, but him and I for sure had it because we had all the symptoms and stuff like that. But since then I have not been like sick with a virus or a cold, not even a cold, no cough, no sneezing, no nothing. And that was right around the time that I cut out sugar as well. And so one of the things that I have intentionally been programming myself over the past, I want to say it's been like a good year and a half, is just really just speaking to myself and speaking to my cells, cells, speaking to my body, speaking life and health and vitality over my body, speaking to myself that, I'm impervious to illness and that I don't get sick. I'm just somebody who, I fight off illness so well. And I haven't experienced anything over maybe like a 12-hour period of feeling like, is something really happening? And then I'll use some elderberry syrup, which I make my own, or I'll take some herbs or whatever, or maybe eat some extra garlic with my food that day. And the next day it's like nothing. And so I'm like, well, why is that? And so another one of my theories is that because mushrooms help us to create new neural pathways and they help us to carve out new connections in the brain, they're going to help you with whatever belief it is that you want to create in your life. So if you want to become better at something, you want to become healthier, you want to believe that it's just easy for you to lose weight, you want to believe that you're the greatest salesperson in the world, or you want to believe whatever it is, you're a world-renowned musician or artist or whatever that new belief is that you want to program in, they help us to reprogram ourselves on a subconscious level so much faster and easier than it is without them. Because that's just how they help us. So I believe that they're an accelerator. They're a medicine that helps us to accelerate belief formation, new belief, and habit establishment, healthy habit establishment. That's a little bit of a tongue twister. But yeah, so those are some of my theories and some of the things that I have personally experienced. Hold on, I got something popping up over here. So really anything that and then, that's where it goes into like, mushrooms are also like can be a performance aid too in whatever it is that you're doing. If you're an artistic person, if you are a musician, if you're an athlete, like whatever it is that you're doing and doing well, we hear all the time the people in Silicon Valley who are in the tech space, they're all the time microdosing LSD or they're microdosing mushrooms. Why? Because they help you to be more creative and more focused and flow and get into the flow. I'm somebody who I used to struggle a lot with ADHD. I still have instances where like I, I will be doing one thing and I'll stop doing that and I'll do this and do that. And it's usually like in between when I'm like taking breaks off of microdosing. But when I do microdose, I find myself just like getting into the zone with whatever it is that I'm doing, and just not having those moments of like being distracted or leaving things unfinished or having an issue with procrastination. That's another thing. I'm kind of going off a little bit of the topic of addiction, but so when it comes to like the heavier addictions like drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff, I believe that it works in the same way. It's going to help you to first of all, if you're utilizing a larger dose, like you're doing a ceremony or a journey, these types of things have been documented through science, okay? And people who have been addicted to cigarettes, for example, they've had one mystical experience or one journey where they had a mystical and spiritual experience, and they were completely done with smoking in that one session, right? So you have that potential. You also have the potential of utilizing microdosing, which in my opinion, it might take a little bit longer for you to overcome whatever it is that you're trying to overcome, but it can work in the same way. It just might take a little bit longer. But ultimately, like going back to the subject of them going beyond being a physical medicine, they're a consciousness medicine and they're an energetic and spiritual medicine as well. So they help us to reconnect with our creator, whoever you believe that to be. They help us to get back to ultimate truth, right, of who we are. So your ultimate truth of who you are is you're somebody who is well, you're somebody who's intelligent, you're somebody who's limitless, you're somebody who is not sick, you're not struggling, you're not dealing with addictions, you're not dealing with these things. It's your body. Because remember what I said in the beginning? I don't know why all these things are popping up on my phone. Sorry for the distraction. Remember what I said in the beginning? You are not your body. Your body is an avatar in a vehicle, but who you are is you're the intelligence and the consciousness that's driving the vehicle. You're the consciousness that's behind the body. You're the consciousness and the intelligence that's animating the body. You're only using this body, right? So the real you is not addicted to anything. The real you is not struggling with anything. The real you is not having drug problems and having alcohol problems and having problems with anything at all. The real you is completely free. So the mushroom can reconnect you with that freedom and reconnect you with that feeling of being whole. And when we're whole, when we feel whole, we don't have the need for an external substance of any kind. We don't feel the need of like, I have to go run to this or I have to go do that. Or on another subject, or same subject, but on another bullet point, our traumas and our stresses and all the things that we've dealt with in the past or that we're dealing with currently in the future, we're able to deal with those so much better and with so much more intelligence and with so much more wisdom through utilizing the mushrooms. So we can see the stressful situations for what they are. And like, for example, like if you're somebody who's struggling with, like, if you have an anger problem and you find yourself, sometimes parents get impatient with their children and they get mad at them, right? So if you picture yourself, if your kid knocks something onto the floor and breaks it, like a breakfast bowl of cereal or something like that, some people, if they have an anger problem, they would get angry at that. And they might yell at the child and tell them, why weren't you thinking or whatever, dang it. And they might even curse them out or something like that, right? We've all witnessed that, or maybe we've even been there. I know I've been there in the past of getting angry for no real logical reason. But in the moment, we think we have a reason to be angry. But really, there's no reason to get angry about a bowl falling off. I mean, the child is young. The child doesn't know. They're not really aware of their surroundings, their environment too much. It was a complete accident, right? So there's certain things where anger is logical, but there's some areas where anger is not logical. And what I've experienced and what I believe is that mushrooms will help us to see what are those areas that's actually logical to have these emotional reactions to. And rather, they help us to form a response instead of a reaction. So we're able to almost like freeze time. Like, did you guys ever see that movie with Adam Sandler? What was it? What was that movie? What was it called? Flick or Flip or something like that, where he had the remote and he could like pause his life. Did you ever see that? I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it's almost like that. It's almost like the instant something happens, you're able to just pause, even if it's for like a couple milliseconds, and you can choose to respond in a different way. Oh, wait a minute. I see what's happening. You kind of like detach yourself from the emotional responses and the emotions that you might have had in the past. And it's like someone's giving you the option. It's almost like a pause, and then like, here, you can get pissed off over here, or you can just exercise patience. Which one would you like to choose? And then you're like, okay, doop, I'll choose patience. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm choosing to be patient about this. I understand it's not a big deal, nothing to be angry over. It was an accident. It's almost like that. It's like you get this newfound ability or superpower or whatever to like really be, and what it is it's you're in the present moment more. Because when we're in the present moment more, we have less to be fearful and concerned about and stressed out about. We're no longer relating to what happened in the past. Usually fear, the emotions of fear and anger and stuff like that, it comes from something that happened in the past. And so we're remembering it on a subconscious level. And in the moment, we're thinking, oh, I'm threatened right now by what's happening in the present because I remember what happened in the past. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you. So we're remembering what happened in the past, and we're bringing that experience from the past into the present where it doesn't belong, because the past doesn't exist anymore, right? And whatever happened in the past, we probably have a weird view of it, and it's probably not even really truly happened. So when we're in the present moment, we're able to just make better decisions. We're able to be more creative. We're able to access solutions more easily and more simply. And I believe that mushrooms help you do all of that. They help you to be more in the present moment, which being in the present moment helps with everything. It helps you have better relationships. It helps you to be a better leader or teacher or coach or whoever you are. It helps you to be better at whatever it is that you're doing, because you're not thinking about, well, what happened or what should have happened or the thing that you screwed up on or whatever. You're here in the moment. You're like, wow, look at the tree. It's never noticed that tree looked like that before. And you're noticing nature more, or you're being able to be patient with someone a little bit more or whatever. You know what I mean? So rolling it back to the original subject of addiction, through microdosing, I believe that it definitely can. Now, the journey will help faster than microdosing would help, but microdosing will help too, because slowly but surely you'll begin to learn about why is the reason that addiction is there. So one of the experts that I follow is Dr. Gabor Mate, and one of his quotes is that don't ask why the addiction, but ask why the pain. Right? There's always, no one's just gambling like crazy, or drinking like crazy, or getting high off the wrong things, or doing all these things just for fun or no reason. They're doing it for a reason, because, we being with our problems and our issues or things that happened with us in the past, it's painful. It's painful to look at what happened to us when we were a child. It's painful to look at what's happening now. It's painful to face the reality of the situation of what we're going through, and we're going through stuff. You know what I mean? It's painful. It's uncomfortable. And so if we can mask that somehow with whether it's fast food, or whether it's cocaine, or it's even weed, or I don't consider weed a drug, but you can abuse it, right? You can abuse anything. So if you're finding yourself going to substances and just consuming substances to try not to feel the pain and feel the discomfort of something that happened to you or something that's happening to you, what microdosing will help you do is to be with that thing and to look at it from a different angle. Kind of like, if I'm always looking at this water bottle like this, and I'm just seeing the label and it says just water, microdosing kind of helps us to like turn it and see it from this side, and see it from this side, and see it from this side, and see the whole spectrum of what the bottle really is, and what it really says, and what it's really about. So with microdosing and with addiction to whatever it is that we're addicted to, the integration is the most important part with any type of plant medicines or things like that. We're not just going to take a microdosing capsule and then just continue to take them and just live our life as usual. And then suddenly, you might find that maybe you need something less, but the integration is so important, because the integration is what you do to learn more about yourself and learn more about why is it the way that you are? Why is it, like I had to ask myself, like, why is it that I eat sugar or I eat food that is not good for me? You have to ask yourself, what is the pain that I'm uncomfortable with, or that I'm running from, or that I don't want to face? What is the memory that keeps playing over and over in my head that I want to suppress, and that I want to silence, and that I want to go away? Because when bad things happen to us, I had a traumatic childhood. I had horrible things happen to me, and I know that you probably did too, right? And whenever horrible things happen to you, like I went through my first marriage was 6 years long, and it was abusive in many different ways. It was toxic. And I remember some of the things that happened, those things that happen would just play over and over again, years later, even just like over and over again. The words that were said to me, the things that happened to me, or things that as a child, even would just, the things, why did that happen? That shouldn't have happened. It just goes, it plays over and over and over again. And that becomes so painful and uncomfortable for us that we have to get rid of it somehow. If we don't know how to work through that, if we don't know how to work through those uncomfortable feelings and emotions and sensations in our body, we will go to whatever we can to cover that up. It could be sex, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be food, it could be anything, right? It could even be like things that are not really destroying the body, right? But like social media, a lot of people are just addicted to just constantly being on social media and just escaping the reality through being on social media or whatever. It can even be something like that. But so the question is, what is the pain? What's the discomfort? Right? What is the thing that we're running from, and why? And why is it so uncomfortable? And so I believe that they give us the bravery and the courage to sit with the discomfort and to see it from many different angles, many different lenses. And there's wisdom and there's intelligence. You know, a lot of people will say, well, there's a spirit behind the mushroom. And what I just truly believe is that it's divine, it's pure divine consciousness that we get reconnected to. And I believe like we walk around kind of like these intelligent beings that have this like plug, if I just had like a plug in my hand. And I feel like some of us, we're plugged in sometimes and other times we're unplugged. But when we utilize entheogens, it's like we get to plug that thing in, and we just have a power source with us at all times, or more often, or more of the time. And the power source that we plug into, it flows truth into us. It flows truth into us, and it flows ideas and solutions into us. It will flow to you the truth about yourself, that you're not a worthless person, that you're not a bad person, that you are not, if you struggle with guilt, or you struggle with shame, or you struggle with insecurities or whatever, it will help you to realize that all of those things are illusions that you're believing about yourself. And most of the time, the beliefs that we have about ourselves, we didn't form it ourselves. Someone else told us that thing about ourselves, and we just started to believe it, and then we repeated it over and over again, or we heard it over and over again, so it became a belief that we held about ourselves. It became a truth. So you get an idea from someone, and they repeat it, and then you accept it, because you don't know how to decline it if you don't know the truth about yourself, right? So we just accept it. If as a kid we're told we're a failure, we suck, we're stupid, or whatever, and we're hearing that over and over and over again, it becomes a tape that plays over and over again. So then we choose to hear that over and over again. It becomes a belief, because a thought that repeats itself becomes a belief. And then we start believing that, okay, we're a failure, we're stupid, I'm stupid. I know back in the day, when I was like 18, 19 years old, like I would always screw up things. I would be like, oh, I'm so fucking stupid. God, I suck. And like, I would just have all these thoughts in my mind of like, I'm stupid and I suck and I'm this and I'm that and whatever. And we get these voices and these tapes of all this false information that's not true about the true us, right? From our life experiences. And those things just play over and over again. And if we don't know how to interrupt those and erase them, or rip out the tape and throw it away and put in a new one, then those things are going to continue to play. So mushrooms are something that helps tremendously with being able to do that. There's many healing modalities that you can get involved in, and hypnosis and meditations and all kinds of other things that will help you with that. But what I believe, like I said before, is that mushrooms are an accelerator for all of that. They're an accelerator for yoga. They're an accelerator for hypnosis. They're an accelerator for therapy. They're an accelerator for anything that you're doing that's helping you now. If you begin to utilize microdosing, you're going to find that it's like pouring gasoline onto like a flaming bonfire or something like that. You know what I mean? You'll be able to grow faster and get the lessons faster, not have to suffer through so many different like repetitive patterns so often, like you can finally get it and move on and elevate yourself. And so I think that I pretty much covered everything. My daughter's over here. Did you want to say hello, or did you have a message for me from inside? Or
I went on Instacart and I saw that the order was delivered, but I can't find the new iPad charger.
Okay, did you look by that door over there?
Look by that door?
That door over there, yeah. We're on vacation over here, and we have this iPad, and we lost the charger. And here in Sedona, there's like not electronic stores and stuff like that. There's only a Staples, so I had to order a new charger. And she said that it was delivered, but they can't find it, because this house is so cool. It's got like a wraparound deck, and there's like 3 or 4 different entrances on the outside. And so I'm not even sure really what's the front door, because there's so many different like doors and stuff like that. When people deliver stuff, they leave it like all over the place, so we're looking for the package or the bag. But anyhow, but yeah, so I hope that you got some value out of this. If you're somebody who's struggling with addiction, if you're somebody who knows someone, feel free to share this with them. Feel free to download my guide. There's a link in the bio to download it's free, my microdosing guide. Goes over some, not real in-depth on how to overcome addiction, but just all the different benefits of microdosing. All the different benefits, there's ideas on protocols and dosing and safe sourcing. There's information on the history of mushrooms. There's information on pregnancy, parenting, postpartum, just everything. Basically, what the microdosing guide is like all of the questions that I had and all the questions that I was always asked all the time, and all the research that I did, I just compiled it all into one thing, so that way I could share with people and they could get the same value that I got over the past, like 3 years into one guide. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to see if there's any specific questions. The wind is starting to blow, so I'm like really starting to shiver over here. Let's see. 100% it's a script we write for ourselves. Yes, that's true. And like I said, if you want to write a new script, there's no better compliment to give yourself than to, see how mushrooms help you with, because, it's one thing to come up with the script, but can we repeat it? That's the key. Repetition and discipline is the key. Repetition is the key to rewriting and reprogramming ourselves. And that's why a lot of us struggle so much sometimes, is because the repetition is challenging. The repetition is difficult. We're busy. We're involved in so many different things. It's hard sometimes to just do something over and over and over again, especially if we don't see like the result or the growth immediately, because we're in this like microwave type society where it's like, if you don't see it right away, then is it really working? And then we don't get the reward. Somebody said, I feel that way about, okay, hold on, baby. I'm about to end it right now. I feel that way about cannabis. I'm very interested in mushroom therapy. Nice. Cannabis has a lot of benefits too. I prefer, and if you're asking yourself, well, is this like weed or is this like cannabis? It's not. It's very different. I find that I prefer mushrooms over cannabis. For me, I don't know. It really depends on like the type of weed that you get, or the type of cannabis that you get. Like indicas work for certain things. Sativas are good for certain things. For me, cannabis doesn't help me at all with pain. For my husband, it helps him. For me, it has never helped me with pain, but for some people, it helps them with pain. For me, sometimes I find that I have bouts and boosts in creativity from cannabis, but sometimes I find not. Sometimes I find that so it's a little unpredictable for me, whereas mushrooms are more predictable. Like I know what I'm getting when I take a microdose. I know that my mood is gonna become elevated. I'm gonna have more energy. If I'm working on a project, I know that I'm gonna be able to focus. I'm gonna be able to become more creative, and I know that my meditation is gonna be great. I know that the yoga that I'm doing that day is going to be great and just magnified. And I know that I'm just going to be overall just more present, and I'm going to be nicer to everybody. I'm going to be in a better mood. I'm just going to, overall, I know what to expect, right? So that's why I would say that I prefer it. Let's see. How long have I been microdosing? Just about, 2020 was when I began. So this is my 3rd year. Thanks for the advice and insight on everything. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for asking the question. I appreciate it. And I've got a question sticker in my stories. I'm pretty sure it's still up. So if you have any specific questions, if you have questions about this topic, or if you have other questions about mushrooms and microdosing, but on different topics, feel free to pop in there, drop me a question. I'll either respond to it in my stories, or I'll come on and do another live maybe tomorrow or something like that. I have debilitating anxiety. I hope mushrooms will help. Yes. Yes, they will. They've helped me with that a lot, and a lot of other people too. All right. I love you guys. I want to thank you for the support. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing the reels. I posted, I've had this viral reel that brought in a lot of a huge amount of followers recently. And I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you for sharing it. Anytime that you see a video that's about mushrooms and you share it to your story, it might not seem like a big thing, but it really is, because you just never know how many people that are going to see that thing. Even if you don't have a huge following, it could be one person that sees a reel or sees a post that you share into your story, and that one person shares it, and then they have a bigger following. So then thousands of people see it. So you just never know. And I'm on this mission because, like I said in the beginning, my life, my family has been adversely affected by addiction, has been adversely affected by so many different things that mushrooms can help people with. So it's my mission to spread this information, spread the education, spread the awareness, and get the information out so that people can start seeing mushrooms differently, and so that we can all come together to help them become decriminalized. Ideally, I mean, they would just be completely legal because they're nature, right? All nature, I believe, should be just completely legal and free for us to use, right? Maybe we'll get there one day. I believe that we can, but it's not going to happen without all of us coming together and realizing that, hey, we've been lied to. These are things that are not harmful. They're literally the least harmful thing that we can take in regards to a substance. They're not addictive, and they are such an amazing solution for people for so many different things and so many different reasons. So thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a beautiful day. Hop over to my stories and drop a question if you have one, and I will see you on the next live.